it live? 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Cody Davis, one half of Locked On Texans, and we are standing in front of Houston Texans training camp on Saturday. And ladies and gentlemen, you guys know I've been in training camp practice every single day since the start last Friday. But today, guess who I got with me?
What's going on, everybody? Locked On Texan fans and listeners out there. Listen, today was a rainy day. The sunshine was absent, a lot of clouds. However, the Houston Texans did have a very good practice, was able to work on some things. And Cody, I think when we look at the defensive line, a name that we have been really wanting to talk about the entire offseason, a guy going into his third year, Ross Blacklock had a very good day today during tramp. Talked about how Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison have been very helpful with helping him get better and how he's been helping out Thomas Booker. So kind of a good way to, give and take a little bit in terms of paying it forward. But he had a good day out there on the practice field, showed flashes, looked a lot quicker coming off the ball. And I think when we look at Ross Blacklock in year 3, this could be potentially, as we talked about before, the year that he actually takes a step and a leap in this game.
Yeah, and you already talked about what Ross Blacklock is doing on the field. I'm actually going to take it a step further and talk about what Ross Blacklock has been doing off the field. And the one thing that I noticed, and we literally just got done talking to Ross Blacklock, he talked a lot about chemistry and camaraderie with this organization, with this team.
The locker room has a fun time.
Yeah, and the locker room has a fun guy. And you guys know, for those of you guys that's been out there rocking with the podcast, you guys know that chemistry and camaraderie is something that I really wanted to see with this organization going into training camp, because we all know, training camp last year was a big mess, but this year you can really tell that this locker room is together, and that's really important for Ross Blacklock, because since he got in the league in 2020, this organization began to transition, and you saw it was really hard for him to find his niche in the NFL, because look, let's be real, even though J.J. Watt was on the team, he was dealing with a J.J. Watt that was frustrated with the organization, so he didn't really have an opportunity to get that veteran leadership. Now you have a better locker room, you have better coaching, everything about this organization is new, and when I tell you, you can really tell the camaraderie, the chemistry, the togetherness is here with this organization. That is something that's really going to help Ross Blacklock going into his third season.
Absolutely. If you look over right now, you guys can see Nico Collins is out there with the fans. Shout out to the fans. They came out in terrible weather almost, and I thought it was going to really rain, but they stuck it out under the shade and really rooted their team on. When we talk about this offense, second-year players and Davis Mills, second-year players and Nico Collins, as I just mentioned, but Brevin Jordan is a guy who I've been talking about a lot on the show, Locked On Texas. He and Pharaoh Brown is the vet, but they look like they have complete control over this tight end group. Guys, when you look at how the Houston Texans offense is set up, they have a lot of big bodies, and I think it's going to eventually and essentially help with the amount of points they can put on the board, scoring in the red zone. But Brevin Jordan, who is a character, I like, he's a fisherman out of Vegas. He's a real locker room guy, young guy, only 22 years old. His birthday was a few weeks ago. He is one of those second-year players that I think will make a big leap this year. And Cody, you had an awesome question. You had an opportunity to ask Brevin Jordan, how important is it for the second-year players who were a part of the transition from the old era of the Texas football to where they are right now? And he says it's very important to them. Right? Like, they have to come in and day out and put the work in. Lastly, that I want to mention, maybe the most competitive group right now is the running back group.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Marlon Mack, who has looked phenomenal out here on Saturday. Damian Pierce, we talked a lot about him. Rex Burkhead has looked phenomenal in the passing game.
Rex. I apologize.
And Dare Ogunbowale is another player in this running back group that has looked phenomenal. So, guys, when you look at this running back group, understand that the coaching staff and Nick Caserio and the front office, they all have their work cut out for them to figure out who they're going to keep, what they're going to keep them at. Are they going to be special team guys? Are they going to be a part of the real rotation at the running back group? And Tremon Smith, Desmond King, they were also fielding kickoff returns as well. And that's also a very competitive group to see who's going to be out there returning kicks.
Yeah, and one last thing, I do want to go back to the tight end core, because we literally just talked about this yesterday. John, you had an opportunity. You talked about how the other day, they mowing the grass.
We are live.
We are
We
literally
can't,
live
edit.
at Texas training camp inside NRG Stadium, as a matter of fact. But John, really quick, I do want to go to a conversation before we close out. Yesterday, you talked about how you believe that Brevin Jordan, you just mentioned, is going to take a step. You believe he's going to be the week 1 starter in that tight end core. After coming out here today, you see how good Pharaoh Brown has looked. You see how good Brevin Jordan has looked. Has what you seen today, has it actually changed your opinion on who should be the tight end starter come day 1, or you still think it's up in the air?
Well, before I answer that question,
I honestly think, as I mentioned yesterday, it's up in the No, I mentioned yesterday is Brown as of right now.
As of right now, Lovie Smith has already said that Pharaoh Brown is the day 1 starter. I do want to shout out Seth Green, who was also out there having a very good camp. He made a couple of plays today. But, you know, I think it has to be Pharaoh Brown. Coach Lovie Smith has already said it. What he is showing you, everyone else, so far in training camp is, you know, this is still a competition. Brevin has to kind of separate himself from everybody else in this tight end group. And I think he and Pharaoh Brown have done so, but he hasn't made a separation from Pharaoh Brown. So, you know, if Lovie wants to go with Pharaoh Brown, I'm not mad at it. I think it's a very good move. You can't have, I guess, too many young guys on the field. However, when you look at Brevin Jordan, it's not like he's not going to be out on the field. One thing Brevin Jordan emphasized is that in Pep Hamilton's offense, he will utilize the tight ends. He even said, wait till week 1 during the conversation we had with him, and you'll see how much the tight end group is really going to be utilized. And again, guys, they're cutting the grass right now. Before I get out of here, I forgot to mention that we had an opportunity to talk to A.J. Cann, who came over from Jacksonville, played under George Warhop. I had an opportunity to ask him, do you feel, taking it personal coming here, they want to be better as an offensive line. I asked him over/under on how many 100-yard games that the running back core will have this year. You guys know that the offensive line sets the tone at the line of scrimmage. He wouldn't give a number, but he did say this: expect a lot more of those 100-yard games. And I think we'll see that with the likes of the youth at running back with Dameon Pierce, the veteran at running back. When we look at Marlon Mack, who has looked totally different from 2 years ago in Indy. He looks 100% healthy. He looks like those cuts are smooth, one step and go. He and Dameon Pierce. And then you look at Rex Burkhead, who I think is going to be a great utility back for the Houston Texans.
Yeah, and really quick before moving on, yesterday Davis Mills did not have that great of a day in practice. As a matter of fact, that might have been his worst day. But what I did love about Davis Mills today, and I'm kind of glad that he actually had a bad day on yesterday, because I wanted to see how he was going to be able to bounce back really good today. John, you saw he looks more confident out there.
Yeah, he does.
He's going through his read. If his initial target isn't there, he's making more reads. Like, I love when I'm seeing out of Davis Mills. Even like I just mentioned, you had a bad day yesterday. How are you going to bounce back? And I think he did a really good job bouncing back today.
Absolutely. You're going to have bad days in the NFL. You're going to have bad drives. You're going to have a bad series. You're going to have a bad quarter. You're going to have a bad half. The Grace have had them. If I could describe Davis Mills in one word today, I would describe him as a player, I would say progression. Right? There was times throughout when it was going through the one-on-one drills and the individual drills, or the 11-on-11 or the 7-on-7, where you were seeing him actively scanning the field. And a couple of throws that he made, my favorite was to Nico Collins in between two defenders in the back of the end zone.
Yes.
He actually had an opportunity to kind of wave off the safety, read him off. And so, guys, Davis Mills, year 2, Nico, year 2, Brevin Jordan, year 2, Garrett Wallow, year 2. One thing about this Houston Texan team is they have a great mixture of players in terms of from the youth to the veterans, because we are expecting a lot out of Jaden Petrie, Dameon Pierce. Also, when we look at Derek Stingley, those are all 3 rookies. We're also expecting a shoulder of this offense from Davis Mills and Nico Collins to take jumps and steps. And then we also look at the second-year guy from Brevin Jordan and Garrett Wallow. Then year 3 guys, Ross Blacklock. Then you have the veterans. When you look at the Greens, the Rasheem Green, who they signed in the offseason, the Jerry Hughes, the Mario Addison, they have a great bunch of guys here. It's going to be difficult for this for the franchise, the front office, coaching staff to make cuts whenever it's time to happen, because they literally have some guys on this roster that could potentially win games at the line of scrimmage during the trenches.
It's going to be difficult, but what I would say
Like hearing us right now.
It's going to be difficult, but what I will say, John, that just lets you know that this organization is in a very good place, especially where they were the last 2 years. So, ladies and gentlemen, Cody Davis, John Hickman here, reporting live from Texans training camp. And anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, John Deere makes a lot of money, enough money to make silent lawnmowers. But no, I think the Houston Texans had a very progressive day. They come back on Sunday. We'll see you guys on Monday. Make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Texans podcast on YouTube and the podcast as well. Follow us on Twitter. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen.
Alrighty, thanks guys. That training camp logo up in there.